Welcome to Verbal Big Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome you to the show. Getting right in it. Childish Gambino video. This is America. This is America. Where integration was probably one of the biggest mistakes that was made. Even though we were looking for justice, freedom, and equality, we didn't study the opposition and what they wanted. We didn't study the history of the opposition and who they were. We thought that once we were integrated and we could show them, hey, this is us, that they'd have sympathy, knowledge, and understanding to where it would put down their racist views and racist thoughts pertaining to black people in America, or former slaves, or indigenous, or the original man and woman in America. We thought that they'd see that we would be beneficial to them, even though we're trying to deal with the people who came and occupied our lands. So we thought, well, look, we're going to love them to death to where they'd have no choice but to love us back. But they was trying to tell us we don't want to integrate with y'all because we're psychotic, meaning the Caucasians. We'll never accept you as an equal. We don't know how. We've been fighting other foreigners that look just like us, i.e. the Huns and the Visigoths, the barbarians, the Vikings, the Wessex, the Saxons, the Norsemen. They were slaughtering each other, and they looked just like each other for land. Because once it was our God, Odin, permits us to do this, to rob, pillage, and plunder for land. They wouldn't accept the Christianity that they created, as far as they took what the Egyptians taught, the Greeks who taught the Romans. They mixed it with paganism, and then they mixed it up with the story of Isis and Osiris. That became the Christianity. Give you an example. There was the letter J is only 400 to 500 years old. Some say 4, some say 5, but let's give it. It's not past 500 years old. Jesus lived 2,000 years ago. His name wasn't Jesus. It was Isa. And before it became Jesus in Greek, it was Lesos, Lesos. Then the J came and it became Jesus. But prior to then, no one heard or knew this name Jesus. Where did July come from? That's Julius Caesar. JC. They called Julius Caesar Lord of Lord, King of King, God the God. In those times. Who is Jesus? Who was Julius Caesar's son? The son he had with Cleopatra was Caesarion. He was supposed to be the ruler of the throne, but they messed up. Sent the ruler away. Because Octavian, or Augustus Caesar, was next to rule. He was an adopted son of Julius Caesar. When Julius Caesar was defeated, killed himself, Octavian was the next to rule, but really his son Caesarion was the next to rule. But Caesarion was bringing on the Egyptian theology way of teaching that they didn't want. Plus he was a mulatto. So they wasn't going to have no mulatto rule over Rome and Egypt. So he had to go. But they realized they messed up. Because Rome was falling, so okay, we're going to bring you the true Caesarion, or we'll call him Jesus. We'll paint him white, we'll put him in front of the world, and that's who everybody's going to bow down to. We get these slaves regardless of what religion you were, if you don't convert to Christianity, we're going to kill you. And that's how it went. So now the Norsemen up north, they didn't want to accept their Christianity because they had their pagan god, Odin. And so that was the dividing line between England, Wessex, the Norsemen, Saxons, Huns, Visigoths, the Goths, and the whole parts of Europe, meaning Germany, France, Spain. They all was believing in different things. So when they was taking land and plundering and raping and pillaging land from each other, they was like, look, we need to work together. We need more land to spread out. They came together and said, okay, at the Nicene Council with Constantine, he was like, look, let's combine all three. We'll combine paganism, we'll combine Christianity, we'll even combine the story of Isis and Osiris with their baby Horus or Haru. We'll make that Jesus, and we'll all come together, split up the money, these families, and it is what it is. Now, what about the indigenous people? They're not part of us. Now, this is where black people come in at. They never saw you as their equals 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. And you think a decree of integration is going to change all that? Really? White people was telling, and when I say white, I'm talking about Caucasians, not North African, black people that are under the definition of white. But did we really think that they'd accept us into the fold when they got a history of not accepting us into the fold? Why do you think the Nation of Islam was one of the only groups who was saying, no, don't integrate, separate? White people, Caucasians, was saying, hey, as Caucasians, we kind of psychotic. Y'all really want to integrate with us? We'll never see you as our equal. We're always going to be against you. We're always going to fight against you. Why don't you go somewhere with your people, build up the land as far away from us as possible, populate, build you a mighty army, and we'll populate, because for your own safety, there's no telling when we're going to come after you one day, because this is in our blood. As far as the Caucasians, it's in their blood. It's in their history. It's in their DNA. They always raped, pillaged, and took land. They ain't give a damn about the people that they conquered. We looking for now the indigenous people. I'm talking about black people, Native Americans, the original man and woman of the planet Earth. We are looking at life through nature and humanity. They're looking at life through raping and pillaging and the stealing or taking of land, because their God permits that. See, the God Odin is mixed up in with the Christianity and mixed up in with the story of the virgin birth and the son. It's all mixed together. Because whichever way the dice rolls, because in their minds, they got it made because they can hit you from either way and still be okay. So you forgiven for your sins, whatever you do, because you doing it in one of the name of the three that they made one. So it's okay. So you around here, especially dudes, man, damn, especially men, you around here shouting, running up and down the aisles in church, singing all day, and this man sitting back plotting on you. And then the funny part about it is, you praying to a God that he invented and gave to you. You think he gon', like Brother Farrakhan said, if a man won't treat you right, he's not gonna teach. He's not gonna teach you right. You don't treat you right, he's not gonna teach you right. That's a fact. You can go home with that. That's a fact. But what's our problem though? I mean, you see all these demonstrations from the Waffle House, police brutality, the You know, we so caught up. We so caught up in the Caucasian world to where the feminists is now ruling over black women. You know, black men, church being led by homosexuals. Indigenous people strung out on alcohol and drugs. Damn. And in the midst of all of that, you have an enemy that's been a lifelong enemy preying on you. You know, and still we rise though. Yeah, still we fight, but I'm just saying, damn. When we gonna wake up and realize what's what and who's who? That's why that This Is America, he's telling you this is America. This is what's on the table on what you have to deal with. Do you have the knowledge, the mindset to solve this puzzle, this riddle, this debacle, this tragedy of a story? Do you have the mindset and knowledge to overcome it? Because this is what's on the table, and this is a fact. There's no mystery God. There's no Jesus flying on some clouds into the atmosphere. There's no man that's going to be coming, walking on top of some water without sinking. That was symbolic, meaning it meant something else. Don't let them fool you. Don't get easily tricked and caught up into the fabricated lie. Do your research. Go back and find who's who, what's what. This is America. And let me drop this on you before we go. If the letter J was only invented 400 to 500 years ago, and the real Jesus lived 2,000 years ago, what they call him? In his language that he spoke, Aramaic, it was Esau, I-S-A. In Greek, before the J, he was called Lesos, L-E-S-O-U-S. Who was this Jesus character that was named Jesus 500 years ago? What are they talking about? Meaning, back when Jesus, when Esau was walking the planet, nobody ever heard of Jesus because it didn't exist. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. What was this Jesus, Cleopatra's and Julius Caesar's son, who went in India, hid in India, studied, taught the Brahmas, studied with the different religious leaders, then went on to his throne to where they killed him, or they said made it seem like he was killed, because his brother Julius Caesar's adopted son, Octavian or Augustus Caesar, which you get the month August from, didn't want to share the throne because Jesus would have combined Egypt and the Roman Empire together and ruled over both. That's why they was calling him the King of Kings, Lord to Lords. But Octavian wasn't having it. Told him he spared his life if he leave, but he couldn't rule. Did they mess up, or did they say, well, you know what we'll do? We'll make this Jesus figure stand over the people. We'll take this and make them believe in what we set up for them, but not divulging the real knowledge and true history of the Jesus. Verbal Pick Radio, we're out.